So in this video, I'll talk about grounded theory methodology. I'll explain what it is, how to use it, when to use it, and also I'll address several myths and misconceptions about this methodology, because a common view is that it's something very complex and something very intimidating, whereas in practice, as you'll see, it's actually a very simple methodology and anybody can use it in their study. So let's jump straight into it. And as I said, the first fact about grounded theory is that it is a methodology, a research methodology. I do have a whole video about methodologies, what they are, in which I explain that methodology is generally a way of doing research. It's almost like a template for doing research. And in this particular situation, our template, our grounded theory methodology, is also for a very specific context and very specific situations. Namely, grounded theory is particularly used when we want to understand and study something that's really under-researched, and ideally we want to develop a theory from it. So we want to develop a theory or a detailed explanation of that situation or phenomenon. And if you're already feeling intimidated because we're talking about theory and developing a theory, maybe it's not something you wanted to do, bear with me because I'll explain that this is not exactly what it sounds like. So the key point is that it's under research. There is something we don't understand and we really need to develop understanding of it. This is quite often when or how grounded theory study starts. But like I said, there are many other characteristics. I'll cover them as well in this video, because you may be thinking now, wait a minute, any research, we're trying to understand something that's under research or something, there is some gap in knowledge or research, something we don't understand. So how is it different from other studies? And you're right if that's what you if that's how you feel, because this is in fact a bit of a misconception, a bit of a myth already, that is, that this is something that makes grounded theory completely different and makes it stand out among other methodology, because you're right, in any study we can argue that we're trying to understand something that perhaps there is some understanding or research missing. And this simply shows us what I said in my video about methodologies, that methodologies are optional. You don't always have to pick one methodology. It's just something that's meant to help you. So here, with grounded theory, there is more to it than just the fact that we don't understand something. So I'll explain what other characteristics should be there for us to even consider that maybe we want to do a grounded theory study. So perhaps the key characteristic of a grounded theory, if I had to really define it, is its inductive nature. It's extremely inductive, and this is its whole approach. So to data analysis and how it starts and how it ends. Again, you can obviously easily argue that many studies are inductive, but here again it's probably the key characteristic. And this starts with the fact that usually, as I said, there is not much research on a certain topic. There will always be some research on a topic. So that's also a myth saying that it's only for things we completely have no research, no knowledge about, because good luck finding such topic these days. There's been research done on just about any topic in the world, but usually our understanding is limited, and what this means is that there is not that much literature on the topic. In older versions of grounded theory, there was this view or this idea that we shouldn't even do any literature review on that topic because we want to be extremely inductive. So as I said, this is the key characteristic. So I'll get to data analysis in a second, but the idea was that we don't want to be influenced by any previous studies, any previous theories or research. Eventually, grounded theorists kind of changed their approach a little bit, because as you can imagine, it's not very practical. Firstly, we do need to do some reading and do need to do some literature review even to develop a research idea in the first place. And secondly, if you're a student, is just completely impractical and unrealistic not to do any reading, because obviously you're not going to convince your supervisors that you're doing grounded theory, and therefore the whole first year of your PhD is just you not doing anything, because normally you'd be reading that literature. So this has changed in the more recent approaches to grounded theory, but the idea is still to at least try to minimize that influence of that literature. So for example, again, prior to this study, you're obviously expected to do some literature review, but later, as you're analyzing the data, try not to look into the literature, not to be influenced by anything that you're reading. So kind of try to push that aside and try to forget about the literature ideally until you're done with your findings, because the whole idea of data analysis, grounded theory, again, is that it's grounded in the data, hence the name. So it's grounded in the data, so it's just extremely inductive. So one thing to remember here is, if you have any previous theories or you have any previous models in mind, some diagram, some explanation, some theory that maybe, or framework that you want to perhaps impose onto your data, onto your study. Maybe you want it to dictate, how you do the study, how you ask questions, how you analyze the data. Then most likely you're not going to be conducting a grounded theory study. So that's just something important to remember, because like I said, although it's not possible not to read any literature, you definitely don't want to have any structure or model that dictates the form of your study, dictates the research design or questions or data analysis or any other aspects of your study. It needs to be extremely inductive. Now, before we continue, I just wanted to quickly remind you to have a look at my website to explore all different kinds of services that I offer. Most of them are Zoom tutorials where we can discuss your study in any stage of planning or implementation, as well as writing support and data analysis services where I'll analyze your data and prepare a report of the findings. But now let's get back to the topic of this video. So now let's talk about data analysis in grounded theory, because that's another aspect of grounded theory that's pretty specific, another aspect that is quite often misinterpreted, and also another aspect where this inductive nature of grounded theory is extremely evident. So you may have heard about data analysis and grounded theory. In fact, maybe you even heard an expression, grounded theory, data analysis. And this is a bit of a misconception, a bit of a myth, although there are different opinions on this one. So some people actually call grounded theory an approach to data analysis. Some people are convinced that this is exactly what grounded theory is. It's just a way to analyze the data. Most tend to disagree with that, but then there are others in between who say that it can be both. So grounded theory is a methodology, but also an approach to data analysis. So I'll leave it to you which one you choose, but I generally don't agree that it's a name of data analysis technique. It's more of a methodology that has certain data analysis techniques. And now on this topic, so what this involves usually is just a pretty detailed approach to data analysis. Again, it doesn't have to be specific just to grounded theory, because there are many approaches or many methodologies, or even if you don't have a specific methodology, you can still have a very detailed approach to data analysis. But it's just something, again, that really characterizes this methodology. This means several stages of coding. There are different versions of grounded theory, different names for the same things, but usually it's either initial and focus coding, and then developing categories or themes, or sometimes people talk about axial and open coding. There are different versions within that methodology, but the point is that it's pretty detailed. Quite often it's line-by-line coding. I do have several videos just about coding and data analysis, so I won't go into detail, but again, to address that myth, it's not that much different from other approaches. So don't worry about that. If that's the reason you're worrying about doing a grounded theory study, there is really nothing that's more complex or more difficult. In fact, I find this approach where you have this clear structure and several stages of coding a much better approach for data analysis in general. So even if I don't do a grounded theory study, I still follow the approach to coding and data analysis that I learned from grounded theory. The key point here again is that it's just very inductive. So if you have a pre-existing model of codes or themes or something you're trying to find in your data deductively, then again, it would be quite difficult to argue that you're doing a grounded theory. In that case, you may say that you've been influenced in some ways, maybe by a grounded theory approach, but this approach to data analysis would be quite different from what one would expect from grounded theory. And now another thing that may happen, or generally happens during data analysis, is a constant comparison method. And this is another thing that may cause some people to think twice about doing a grounded theory study, because again, it sounds and feels pretty intimidating. It's a constant comparison method, so something on top of our normal data analysis and our coding. However, this is a myth. Again, another myth, because what it actually is, a constant comparison method, is just what it means is that this is a process where you're constantly comparing different elements of your data, your developing coding framework, later your themes. So basically, it's comparisons between the different codes, comparisons between codes and themes, comparisons between themes, comparisons between the different transcripts and different data sets, comparisons and explorations of whether your coding still seems relevant, for example, for a subsequent interview transcript that you're beginning to analyze. So again, it's nothing that would be different from what you would normally do in any qualitative data analysis. Again, as long as it's a detailed and inductive process where you take all the necessary steps to make sure that the analysis is valid. You're not jumping into conclusions. So of course you're checking all the little nuances within the data. Then you'll be fine. And finally, what this kind of leads to is that sometimes this constant comparison may also refer to comparing whatever you have in terms of your coding and themes, or even the emerging explanation or a theory, comparing that to the data that you bring into your study. So newly recruited participants. And if you have these newly recruited participants, what this means is that you've been conducting theoretical sampling. And that's a final, probably most distinctive characteristic of a grounded theory, theoretical sampling. That's another thing that may feel intimidating and overwhelming, because maybe you're thinking, I haven't even started my study and I already know there is something new to learn, theoretical sampling. But in fact, it's not how it works. So in grounded theory, you would still do your normal sampling. So usually purposeful sampling, where you select your sample in the way you would normally do it. So nothing changes here. Theoretical sampling, what it actually is, and again, it's optional. It may happen, you may do it, or you may not do it in your grounded theory study. Theoretical sampling is basically, as you're analyzing your data and you start to develop certain theory, or like I said, explanation, something that you think could be the case, something that helps you understand whatever you're trying to understand. As you're analyzing your data and you start to realize these things, you may feel the need to recruit more participants. Because imagine, for example, that my theory is that workplace experience plays a role in whatever I'm exploring in that workplace. However, I only have participants who have very little experience. So now I realize that through that process of inductive analysis, I start to have this developing theory that maybe years of experience play a role. So I may decide that I actually may need a few more participants. So I'll start recruiting this time participants with more experience. So this is theoretical sampling. It's sampling based on my emerging developing theory or explanation that's developing from my my data analysis. And like I said, this is entirely optional, because maybe there simply is no need for that. So if you don't need theoretical sampling because you're completely fine with your sample, you're completely fine with your analysis, and your explanation of the data is in fact developing from the data that you do have, then there is simply no need to recruit more participants or do theoretical sampling, and you may still talk about it being a grounded theory study. And that's basically it. And finally, the theory part. So developing theory, as I said, this is one of the most intimidating and overwhelming concepts in grounded theory. But again, it's been clearly said over and over and over again these days in the literature that theory is simply a detailed explanation of a certain phenomena. You may want to develop a proper full-on theory, of course, if you feel like it, but if you don't, then you're still doing a grounded theory study, because whatever your explanation, your understanding that you propose and you put forward, it can be classified and understood as a theory. So if you take all these elements together, what grounded theory is, again, just to repeat that, it's a study where if we don't have enough knowledge of something, we feel that there is a lot missing, there is not that much research, you want to have this very inductive approach to data analysis, which is kind of natural if there is not much research. So you can't, or you don't want to use any pre-existing theories or frameworks, you just want to find out strictly from the data what's happening here. Then it means that you may want to conduct a grounded theory study. And if you do, then of course, bear in mind a couple of characteristics of a grounded theory. Like I said, this approach to coding where you want to be inductive and detailed and this sort of thing. But remember that you don't have to tick every single box on that list of what is a grounded theory study. So this is it. I hope that you learned something new. Please like the video if you did. It really helps others find these videos. Put your comments under the video if you have any questions, and otherwise consider subscribing if you're new around here.